What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by. I was slightly worried about making this video in the aftermath of the actual match itself. Before we move on, if you haven't done so already, if you could hit the subscribe button, that would be greatly appreciated. You could hit a like, you can put comments on. Give me your opinion. Everybody's got their opinions. Always love to hear them. It's great to be able to have, you know, open and frank discussion about stuff. What I try to do is in terms of the information that I give, I want to do it kind of not as emotionally as I normally would do. I mean, I was fuming on Saturday, absolutely fuming. I'm not going to get away from that fact. And had I gone online then, or had I gone on to record the video and put it up Saturday evening, or even on Sunday to a certain degree, I don't think that I would have looked kind of like at the cold hard light of day in terms of try to be objective about the facts and everything that kind of went on there. So, as we all know, we drew 1-1 with Coventry. Coventry did exactly what I thought they would do, which is they set up the low block and we struggled with it, as we always seem to do. We really struggled with the low block. However, with that being said, at the start of the game, I thought we played okay. I thought players had started better in terms of the actual, you know, previous match and how everything had gone on before. I thought Spence looked better. I thought Ampadu looked a little bit better. Kamara looked a little bit better as well. But as the game progressed and we started to hit that low block wall, if you like, we started to struggle a little bit. And it was that what it did for me, or what I saw that it did, was that it slowed our play down, and we don't play well when we have to play slow. It's as simple as that. For me, I've said it before, I said it on the View podcast, when we're having to pass it just sideways constantly and not behind or behind us, it's just not doing very well. When we're not trying to put balls in behind, it's not working. And I think that's where the issue comes in with where both Pirro and Rutter play. Have we more of a target man up top, then the ball over the top becomes a little bit more of an option, I feel. So we can do a little bit better than that. Overall, in terms of the actual play itself, I thought James had brilliant game defensively in the first half, was really covering well for Gray, always popping up and getting the ball really well. But that's not where we want James to be, and it nullifies what he can actually do. Gray wasn't brilliant. I feel Spence was better, if not impressive. But again, I think he struggles at left back, if I'm honest. I think he's more of a right back. It's just how I feel about it. Pirro was just anonymous throughout the majority of the game for me. Flashes, but nothing impressive. Rutter was struggling at the start. Coventry were very physical at the start of the game. And I'm not going to get into the ref too much, but the one thing that I will say is that his refereeing in terms of controlling the game was horrifically bad, and it contributed to little flare-ups that started to happen towards the end of the game. Yeah, there was some frustration from the Leeds players, but they were getting, again, lumps kicked out of them. It was that kind of typical going hard, break the rules a little bit, but not massively, so you have to, it ends up taking notice of yourself. I thought that we played into their hands. We structure set up with this low block that we just can't seem to break down. And the infuriating thing about it is we can do it quite easily by speed of passing and speed of movement. But because we were slow in terms of how we played, we couldn't break it down, and it was just getting on the throes of just being furiously annoying as the game wore on. And I think the thing that's important to look at is that we had 20 shots. 20 shots and only managed to score one goal. Only managed to score one goal. So that's, you know, the conversion rate of 5% with that's however many are on target. Just absolutely mental in terms of the way that works. So when you look at it in terms of the positional report, so I had a look on whoscored.com just to give me a little bit more information in terms of, you know, how the game kind of ran out and everything. So 48% of our attacking came from the left-hand side. So that has a lot to do with Cree. That has a lot to do with Spence. Sometimes Spence got left out of position, which then denotes the way that 41% of Coventry's attacking prowess came down the right-hand side. Only 27% through the middle, 21% for Coventry, 25% on the right-hand side, and 38% on the left-hand side. So there was a fair mix in terms of where we relied upon, and unfortunately we were heavily reliant on Somerville trying to do something, and I think Coventry worked that out a lot in terms of how we were playing and what we were doing in terms of how the game actually played out. And it is interesting when you look at it in terms of the action zone side of stuff. So 40%, 47%, so nearly half of the game was played within the middle of the pitch. 36% was played in the away third, and 18% was played in the home third. So that just gives you that overall indication of how these games are looking and what's kind of happening, and the way teams are trying to set up in terms of that low block on us and get us on the counter. Positionally, again, I mentioned this in the preview match itself. Coventry as a whole, they had one player statistically consistently in our half. It was their number 9, and he was holding the ball up really well. You have to give him props for that. He held the ball up really, really well and did a really, really good job. And I think the thing that you can note from the positional sense of where everybody was playing, for us, it was obviously Rodon and Stroikins in the kind of middle of the pitch, just below the centre circle, but the majority of our players were in their half consistently. And looking at it, we were playing a 2-4-4 format, or it worked out averaging like a 2-4-4 formation throughout the game. But when you look at Coventry, obviously they had the one player that was playing up front, their number 9, and then across the middle of the park. Yeah, I'm going to call it across the middle of the park. You had a line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a line of 6, then a line of 3. That's what you had. That's what we were playing against consistently. So that mid-low block, and it kills us every single time because we slow down the play. The goal that we actually score comes around from slick, quick, fast-paced movement where people don't have time to think, and just putting the ball through and putting it through to the right areas and doing what needs to be done. Rutter played the ball through to Somerville. Somerville, I mean, the guy's confidence is sky high. Lovely finish to make it 1-0. That was the one time Rutter played the decent pass and the decent option through. There was a couple of occasions where he made the wrong decision, or he was keeping on hold of the ball for too long for me. And again, like I said, Pirot was he wasn't at the races, and I don't know why. This is when, again, he isn't a bad player. I think it's the system that's hampering him. It's difficult for him to get involved in the game at times, I feel. And then Coventry score, and the biggest thing about that is not so much the goal that they conceded, which wasn't Melié's fault. It's a cock-up between Strauch and Gray in terms of who goes for the ball. All that needed to happen was one person just needed to shout and head it. They just got in each other's way and didn't cover the header going in. So, I mean, there's not a lot you can do about that, really. But we did the usual thing, which is really sort of like infuriatingly annoying, which is I'm getting a bit sick of seeing substitutions happening at the 70th minute and then more happening at the 80th minute. It's not giving players enough time to be able to, and listen, they're professionals, they should be able to do a job, but it's not giving players enough time to do what they need to do. You can see that some of the players are knackered by this point, and we need something to come in and do the job that's needed to be done and the work that's needed to be done to try and get that, that goal back, that to make it 2-1 again. We should have won that game, But fair play to Coventry, they did the job that they were supposed to do. But my annoyance is that, yet again, we're making substitutions at such a time. And I don't necessarily agree with the substitutions. I think there's a level of trust there that Farke has with some of the players, some that he does like and some that he doesn't like. And there's not a whole hell of a lot that we can, unfortunately, do about that until January. January is going to be huge for us. The big thing is that it's a point, we move on, we go on to the next game. Now, my worry is when we go to the game at the weekend against Ipswich, is that it's going to go, for me, it's either going to be we're going to get steamrolled, or it's going to be another tight 1-0 win like it was against Leicester. And then Leicester and Ipswich have to play each other twice, so God knows what might happen in that game there. But when you look at it in terms of the overall, just going back to the Coventry game, I should say, is that in terms of, and this is where it makes no sense that Coventry get a goal back, is that we created a high number of chances relative to possession. We stole the ball often from the opposition. We're effective creating goal-scoring opportunities through individual skill. We're effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities with through balls. And we're effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from long shot situations. Our biggest problem is that our conversion rate is so bad. And again, that comes into where I just feel that Peru at number 10, maybe Rutter in, Peru at number 9, Rutter maybe in at the 10, just to switch it up, just to see how that changes, because a lot of Rutter's good work comes from when he goes deep, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts. Weaknesses-wise, the biggest one for me was we were poor at finishing and we committed a high number of individual errors. So that's losing the ball, giving the ball away, passes going astray, not making the right decisions when it comes to shooting or crossing or turning things around. Coventry-wise, in terms of strengths, they had 2 throughout the entire game. They were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from long shot situations, which they have a history of doing that, and they were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from the flanks. Their goal came from a crossing situation on the flank. Their weaknesses, they were aggressive, and they were overly aggressive. The ref was so bad. They let them get away with so much, and it's beginning to bug me now. That doesn't take away from what in terms of the game itself and the way the Leeds played. We should have been out of sight. We should have won. Better finishing. That's what we need to do. But the referees in this league are appallingly bad. When you look at from a styles point of view, there's only one thing that they said for Coventry: favoured long shots. That's it. But for us, we've got large quantity of possession in the opponent's half, attack down the left-hand side, dominated possession, favoured short passing, favoured through balls. According to the statistics, we should be winning every single game that we play, or we should at least be winning that game in terms of the way that those statistics come out. So, I don't know. It's frustrating, but it's another point on the board. And again, we have to take into consideration that this season is an anomaly, and it's very, very hard trying to keep up with the runners of the actual league when they're just. It's an absolute outlier. An absolute outlier, the fact that there are 2 teams doing exactly the same thing and have yet to have a wobble, which I still think they will do at some point, but we'll wait and see what happens. This does just show me that January is going to be quite interesting. It will be interesting to see if Farke makes any changes for the Ipswich game. I suspect that he won't. I'd like to see Nonto come in and start. I'd like to see Rutter get a rest. I know he's a game changer for us, but bring him on in the 60th minute. I'd put Nonto at no. In fact, no, I wouldn't. I'd put Nonto on the left, James on the right, Cree in the middle, and Peru at the number 9. That's what I would do for that bit there, just to change it up. They're all good. They all should be able to do something. That's just what I'd like to see. But we've got to start making substitutions sooner. We need to be able to impact on the game a lot better. And we've got to start playing quicker. When we play quicker, teams can't match us. It's been proven time and time again in games that we've won. When we play quick, incisive football, attacking football, we can run away with the game in the space of 10 minutes. We did it against Ipswich. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I was fuming on Saturday because we shouldn't have drawn that game. We should have won. But it is what it is. Tomorrow's another day and we move on to the next one. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. This was a really long video. I do apologise. If you've enjoyed it, please click the like button. If you're new to the channel, please also don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Cheers.